Hello and welcome to another one of our tech demos. Today we are inside Photoshop and we are going to be looking at how to do some layer organization and kind of get our file set up to kind of work smoothly, also be able to hand off to others or work in a group. So for those of you that don't have a file or are just brand new to Photoshop, let me show you where you can get some templates to kind of work on. So if you have just opened up Photoshop here, you can do this and you go to File and go New. And when this pops open, the basic page is just going to have some basic blank pages and formats. So if you click on any of these are all going to be just your blank white canvas. But if you look along the top here, I'll draw a little box up there for us to see. Right up here, you're actually going to find that there's a number of different templates, so there's photo templates, there's print templates, art and illustration and so forth up here for us to use. And that's kind of a great place to start if you're just beginning or you don't have any files, you got a new system set up. A lot of times you don't have all your art on there or have enough photos and such. So I'm going to go ahead and jump us over here. I'll look at the mobile setup here and might take it a second or two. And you'll notice that you've got the options for different, mobile sizes. And you'll see this in each of the templates. So like if we were on art and illustration, you'll see some grid layouts and so forth. So things to note when you are looking through these templates, if you're looking to kind of really kind of work off of a file just to kind of play around with, do note that they're not all created equally. So when you click on one of them, like there's one here that says a Halloween app, just be aware that over here in the template details, they're going to tell you a bit about what is and isn't. So while you might see something amazing in the display here, a lot of times that's going to be all flash and show. And when you open up the download, it's just dotted lines and, like it implies, a template, but you don't have the images. And if you're brand new to working in Photoshop, or even if you're an intermediate and you're trying to get back into it, and the tools have changed on you, that can be kind of, disheartening when you get in there and it's kind of confusing. So look at the info on each of these templates to see what is and isn't included. So you can see on this one, it says photo and design elements shown in the preview are for display only and are not included in downloaded file, which means when you open this up, odds are you're not going to find these cute little pumpkin things in here. And on other ones, for example, if I clear these out here and then find a different one for the type of things that you run into, you might find if you click on this, that one actually got things included. Some of them might even tell you that the text is not included. So you'll notice here that this one says sample text is for display only. Photos are for preview only. So just be aware when you see one that you fall in love with that you might not get all of the components in there to work with. And it's not anything that you did on your end. Just they didn't include that in what they were offering to you for free or as part of the license, depending on what you're selecting. So I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to select this one here on mine because we're getting into the fall term. And we've got the fall social media here. And I noticed that it has photos and designs are actually included in this, and it's fully editable, add your own text and images. So this is a pretty good one. If you're not certain, you can always click the little preview because you'll notice that these do range in size from a couple megs, sometimes up to a gig in size if it's a really huge like 8K display with multiple layers and multiple layouts. But if you hit the preview, you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at. So I can see, all right, it's got a couple of just, basic social media sets with some images and text. Seems pretty good. And if you haven't already downloaded it, you would click download and it would download here. But to keep this video short, I've already pre-downloaded this. So I'm just going to open this one up. And again, I was going to say some text layers might need to be updated before they can be used for vector-based. Do you want to update it now? I'm not doing text right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit no because we're talking about layers today. So in this particular set, there's actually 6 artboards, and that's what you're seeing here. They're called Story 1, 2, 3, 4, and they also have some photo posts down here. So that's going to be important in a little bit when we start moving and dragging the stuff around. But just be aware that each one of these artboards is essentially a canvas in and of itself. So I'm going to zoom in to this first artboard right here. And let's take a look at what we have on here. So ways that we kind of organize this, you can see they've kind of done a basic organization and labeling for you to kind of get you started so it's not, a crazy mess. So if you look in your layers panel and if it's collapsed, just maximize it. Sometimes it minimizes itself down here. So if it's done that, just maximize that open. And you can see they've got story 1, 2, 3, and 4. Essentially, each one of these is just the art board for this. So if I open up story 1 here by hitting the little chevron, you can see they've grouped this into text and background. And if I click on text there, you'll see it highlight around what that is. And if I turn this off, it's going to hide what's on that text layer, which obviously includes something more than text. They've actually got a shape and some effects and so forth going in there. So that might have been a little misleading if you thought, hey, I was just going to edit the text. It's actually got a graphical element inside of that. So let me hide that for now and just look at the second group here. It's called background. And you open it up and it's called background and background. That can get confusing, especially for new artists, new designers, when somebody goes, well, it's a background folder. And then I called my image background. Let me show you how it gets even more confusing, because if you end up having a second one and you labeled them all text and background and labeled it background, now I have no idea which is, say, the pumpkin background here and which one is the coffee background. So you might be thinking that you're doing a great job labeling them, and you actually might just be building up chaos to ensue later on. Now, there is a benefit to having a standardization as you make your files. I definitely will have a text group, or I have a background group and so forth, but odds are I probably won't name all my images background and my group background, because that gets pretty confusing pretty fast. So let me show you how can we change one of these layer names or even one of these group names. So if I wanted to change this from story 1 to, let's say, something else, I can come over here and you can double click it and it'll either select the words like that, or you can also right click and do some editing that way. So let me go ahead, pull this up real quick for us. All right, so if I wanted to name this something instead of story 1, I could come in here and be like, fall leaves. And if you want to put a space in there so it's a little bit more legible, that. And so now I know, okay, this is going to be my fall leaves group or whatever I'm doing. Or maybe this is, you're doing social media posts, you might be like post September 24th. So be able to label it something that you're going to know more than story 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So in doing that, we can also group these in, and you can see that they've got these groups, they got folders, but a group of 1 is, I guess, technically still a group, but not necessarily all that useful. And let's say if I actually wanted to just work on one storyboard and be able to have all the backgrounds in there, how do I get them over there? Well, there's a couple different ways. Let me go ahead and take that box that we got drawn in there out so you guys can see this a little bit better. But I can go in and I could expand each of these and see, okay, where's the background? And I can click on this and you'll see it highlights around that background. And if I turn this off and on, of course, that makes that layer visible. So you could drag and drop these if you wanted to put all of the backgrounds into this layer. You could do something like this. This drags it up and adds it into that group. Now you'll notice that it's jumped that over there and kind of position that for me. Another cool feature, if I go down here and scroll down just a little bit, so you can see this next group, I'm going to collapse that layer. I could come down here and I could open up this background. Here, I got it here. And see, there you have it right there, an example of confusing naming everything background. So on this background, the background is labeled background in this template, but it's not what you're expecting to be the template, because they actually have what I was expecting to be the image for the background actually up here under a different group called design elements. And I can see there is the design element right there that I was hoping to use for the background. So if I wanted to use that as a background, I need to take it out of this. Now I could, again, drag this up there and you'll see it's just got a very basic name called image, but I could also grab my move tool. So I can grab my move tool here and I can click and drag on the image itself. So if I grab this and if I pull this up here, if I kind of let this scroll up a bit till I'm over the other artboard, you'll notice that once I get over it, you see the image appear. And what you'll be able to do, and I'm using little smart guys there. We'll talk about that in a different tech demo. But I can sit there and move this in and drop it, and it automatically puts this into, you can see the post September 24th here, but it's not inside of my background group. So if I turn this off, you'll see that it doesn't make that go away. If I wanted to use that frame as a background, now obviously it's got a hollow space in it, but if I wanted it to be a part of that group, what I would have to do is select all of these, and I could, if they were in a row, I could hold down shift, but you notice if you do that, that selects text and everything else in between the two. So if you wanted to use the shift method, you need to at least drag this down by this and then group them like such. Or you can, if they aren't together, and this is very useful, especially as your files get bigger and there's things that you need to selectively group, you can hold down Control instead. Yeah. And click on one at a time like so. So click on them, holding down Control like so, and because these are in a group, I'm going to just grab the whole group. And then you can either right click and you can say a new group from layers, which will give you a chance to do this. And we could call this all backgrounds. And that'll put them into a group all by themselves. Now notice that when you do that, because this was already in a folder, these are all grouped together inside that. If you didn't want to do it that way, there is a shortcut key that you can use. You can hold down both of these. And I believe if we go like so, accidentally ungroup them first for you guys. So be able to hold down Control and G, and that's going to group them together. That's the shortcut key. So as you guys get more used to that, but because it doesn't display on screen when I'm recording like this, I'd like to show you the manual method with the menus too. So again, to do that, you can click on both of those, right click, and you can create a new group from the layers. And the shortcut key, of course, is Control G. And as your hands get used to it, they'll start doing it on your own without you even doing it. So we'll go ahead and say all backgrounds here. All right. So one more thing I want to show you guys before we end this simple tech demo is that you can also add some more organization to your files in the form of setting up colors for the layers. So you'll notice if I right click on the layer that I just created, all backgrounds, the bottom option here is colors, and you have a whole bunch of colors. Now, at the beginning, you might just be like, oh, let me use a color that I didn't use before, but I'm very visual, and in previous versions of Photoshop and Illustrator and so forth, the whole line became that color, became really quick and easy. Now it's just going to be like the little thumbnail on the side. But I would recommend kind of coming up with a colorization scheme that you're going to use on all your documents. That way you don't open up one and you're using orange for text, and then you open up the next time and you're using orange for images or backgrounds or so forth. So try to think of it, and be consistent on it. So that, for example, I'm going to use blue for my backgrounds here. And you can see here now that's got a blue. And let's say if this was truly all text, for example, I often use orange for my text. And that allows me to kind of know what's going on each of these. One more thing you can see right now, all of them are visible, but I'm seeing the frame here on front, and it's got this transparency inside of it. And maybe I wanted to see the coffee inside that. Well, you can drag these around, and you can also ungroup this background group of backgrounds. So first, let me show you how to ungroup this. If you wanted to have these all just be at the same level, because notice that right now this is an image and a group inside of here. If I do this, it's going to swap those two around just by dragging. So let me ungroup this background group in here. And I'm just going to do that with Control-Shift-G so that they're all at the same level there. And now I can kind of drag these around so I can pull this up and be able to get the coffee show up inside. Oops, I gotta unselect one of them. There we go. So now I can kind of get that coffee in there. And the nice thing about this is that you can kind of take advantage of all of them. You can move them around. You can use the arrow keys and so forth, and really start to organize your files. Now, of course, this is some really bad naming here because I have image, background, background. That tells me nothing. So let's sit there and make this fall frame. Again, I'm just double clicking on this, and we'll call this fall frame. We'll maybe call this one coffee. And this one, if I hide this, I can see it was the pumpkins and things. If I drag that guy around a little bit more, gotta make sure I'm on the background that it's on. Let's move that pumpkin down in here and be like, okay, that's the pumpkins. And those might be suffice, or if you have other images that are also pumpkins, you might be like, this is pumpkin photo or orange pumpkin, so forth. All right, guys, that's all we're covering today. So have some fun, organize your files. It will save you time and it will make it easier for your teammates too. Have a good one. We'll see you next tech demo. Thanks.